The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to Speaking with the Senator. I'm Senator Kevin Avard, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about critical race theory and maybe some more topics. We're going to talk with former Representative Carl Seidel.
That's it.
And Dave Schoenman as well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you're here. You know, we just we banter back and forth a little bit, you know, before we're on air, and we're just we're hearing all different kinds of things that are out there. People are really divided these days. Either you're super right or you're super left, or you're for mask, you're not for mask, you like critical race theory, you don't like critical race theory. There's a host of things that are going on right now and that are affecting us directly, you know, or even indirectly, but we're hearing it. I think one of the main topics right now is this whole idea of critical race theory. Recently we had a gentleman on my show, Dan Richardson, or Richards, and there are a couple of Dan Richards around, and he's from Hanover, and he was on the show and he's talking about his introduction to critical race theory. He just went to a school board meeting at one point, and he wanted to donate a couple $1 million to the school district for entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, or teach them how to become an entrepreneur. And what happened is in the conversation of the Board of Ed, the whole concept of critical race theory came up. And so he started asking questions, and kind of sharp questions, and saying, what is this, and why? How is this affecting my kids, or something to that effect. And as he's asking critical questions, he was shut down by a professional interrupter.
Yeah, how about that?
One of the people that was heading up the meeting said, I'm a trained interrupter and you're out of line. And this kind of took him for a loop, you know, 'cause he said, Senator, I don't do victim here, you know. And he was just blown away that somebody actually was trained to interrupt a person from the public from asking questions, which stands, you know, it seems to be going on all over the state now. You know, here in Nashua, if somebody stands up and says, listen, I disagree, well, you're out of line, you know, and people are becoming either afraid or more agitated, one way or another, to speak up. And I think we're living in some really, really interesting times, serious times, actually. But Carl, I noticed you have some information a little bit on critical race theory.
Well, there's a number of things. The critical race theory gets started really with people who were more of a socialist theme, very liberal, socialist oriented. And in the college, it's been taught for quite a while. Right. And that's how the young teachers that come in, they're carrying it. And some of the maybe new parents now have heard it because they heard it in college. But it's something where I feel it's just another way of trying to break up the country. Mm-hmm. You want to have a victim or something. So now that they can't use the African Americans as a topic of being a victim, they picked on the white people because they are the largest ones that are fighting the way this group likes to want to control the population.
Right, and they're demonizing one race over another.
That's right.
And you know, if you look at any country, there isn't a single country out there that has not had some warts, if you will, made some very bad choices, hurt some people, going back to ancient times through modern times, whether it's China, whether it's Russia, whether it's any nation. We all have our bad history. But the beauty about America is that we've learned from it. We've learned from it, and we have a Constitution which guarantees the equal protection under the law. We have the 14th Amendment. Yeah, we've had a civil war. We've had a host of, we've had the Jim Crow years. We've had a host of bad things happen to Black Americans, to American Indians, to Asians.
They're still having a problem. The American Indians are the ones that are suffering the greatest, and who talks about them?
Right. Well, and the thing is there's a host of people. There was practically a genocide with the American Indians, and you know, the Asians, the Irish, you go across the board. We've all had our growing pains, if you will, and that's being very generous, obviously, but in this melting pot, this whole idea that we're a melting pot, and what I believe, this whole idea of the critical race theory that is being taught in the university systems is basically peeling off a scab. You know, we're healing, but that's not good for some people. So by peeling off that scab, you can divide this person with this person against this person against this person. And the way I understand critical race theory right now, if you're Caucasian, you're part of the systematic problem. And also if you're Christian.
They claim just because you're the majority,
right,
you were one that let it happen.
Right.
And what I remember from school and college, and I went to a very liberal college, they were talking more about what we did to better people. It was a more positive.
Right.
And this is a very negative way of approaching it. It's teaching how to hate, not how to love, not how to get together with your neighbors or whatever, how to work together. I mean, it's also affecting our military. And the military goes on the theme of, you know, one helps all, you know, one for all for one type of thing.
Right.
And they are going to be hurt if they break that code. And right now we're going through that over in Afghanistan.
Right. And our military is there designed, it's not for a social experiment. It's there, they're trained to be killers. They're trained to break things and destroy in order to protect our borders.
Right.
And to be focused on that. But once you start involving and injecting these social issues, even into the military, you break down the code, and then you water down what was.
It took over 100 years to do that.
Right.
I mean, how long was before they allowed Asian Americans to serve in there, or Japanese
and African Americans as well? I mean,
everything. And now they got them working together, and we're just breaking it up.
Breaking it up.
I think, you know, the old days when you talk about how that was developed over time, the idea was to build, to strengthen. And I think now the idea is to tear down, to weaken.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but there's an agenda here that seeks to divide and to get the groups as small as possible. They'd like to divide you, from me. There's three of us here. They want there to be three groups. No matter, they don't want the groups to be large. They want as much division as possible. And I think that's all part of the socialist movement. I think that to erase history and to divide people is one of the key strategies of socialism. And as socialism advances, or is attempting to advance in America, they're seeking this division. And for a long time, the schools have been kind of the hotbed of that effort, because they're working on socializing people in a particular direction. They've been doing it for a long time. Right. And now they're ramping up, basically, to further divide the nation and divide them at an early age.
And you know, and you would talk to any educator and say, oh, we're not trying to do that. And I think you have to step out of that box, and you have to realize that they might be looking at it very myopically because they're in the profession. But when you look at the university systems that is promoting, that they're promoting it to judges, they're promoting it to lawyers, they're promoting it to all graduates of every aspect, and teaching that philosophy as though it's a moral imperative, in that we start looking through things in this type of glasses, that everything is race related rather than love. They can't teach love for some reason.
They also don't seem to be able to teach effort.
Yeah.
Because I think that some of the results that people find or achieve in life, especially in the United States, is based on effort. And there is going to be a difference between people. Not groups, but between individuals based on effort.
And you speak of effort, which means that there are different outcomes with the amount of effort that you put into something.
That's right.
But part of this critical race theory also, David, is this whole equity, the equity of outcome, so that there's nobody that's going to have well, if I put this much effort in, I can achieve this and meet these goals. But if you have the social equity or justice equity or the whole 9 yards, it doesn't mean that equal opportunity. It means equal outcome.
Right.
And so effort becomes, wow, why should I try? I'll let this guy or let this girl or this person achieve what I want to achieve, and I'll just partake of that.
But maybe they won't be able to. I picture in my mind society and, certain individuals who have accomplished great things. They become these great large peaks in our society, developing medicines or healthcare or iPhones or something
capitalism
that really advances the country and advances mankind. And what happens, I think, as you try to suppress or equalize the outcomes, the whole world doesn't rise to those peaks. Those peaks shrink. And we don't have the accomplishment. We don't have the individuals that accomplish.
Yep. So we're looking at there was a Huxley, there was a Orwell, and there was one other one. It escapes me, but they're talking about a dystopia. In some of their earlier writings in the 50s, and I just marvel how these people could see the future as they see it, as we're seeing it being played out. One of the great evils that seems to be driving either the critical race theory or the equity happens to be this thing called greed. Greed is the great evil of our day. However, if we've evolved as a species, why does it matter? I'm getting very philosophical. Because if we're being taught that we're an accident, if we're being taught that we just evolved in the survival of the fittest or of the species, why is there a right or wrong? Why is there a good or evil? Why is greed the bad thing?
Why is the word greed used? Why isn't ambition used?
Right.
Why isn't something like I want to accomplish something? And that's the way we succeed. That's the way capitalism works. And they want to do away with capitalism, as you said in the beginning. It's for a socialistic world.
Right.
And people think it works. It's because it sounds so nice. Everybody's equal. That's what they say. And everybody gets treated the same. Well, never has that worked out. There's always somebody there that's directing.
And in our Constitution, we are to be treated equal. We have the equal opportunity afforded us based upon the way our Creator made us. But whether it's equal justice, meaning under the law, I'm treated the same way as a multimillionaire is treated, or my color of my skin, I'm treated the same way as somebody else. That is the ideal. That's where our goal is.
Right.
You had mentioned, David, about tearing down history. I know there's a biblical verse that says, if the foundations be removed, where will the righteous go? There's no way to turn. There's no way to identify or to build upon if you break down history. Our history is there, and it should be looked at as it was, so we can learn from it, we can build upon it, we can change, and that's what we've done. But I think what's happening with this critical race theory is they're making an enemy out of a particular color. So we in the legislature put into our discrimination clause that if you teach these types of concepts, you're liable for a lawsuit. Because we don't need children walking around saying, well, I'm the problem because I'm a white kid. And, you know, we're all trying to build everybody's self-esteem in the last 20 years, right? We've been talking about that. We've also been talking about bullying in the school. We don't want to be doing that. But yet now we're being taught, well, because of the color of your skin, you're part of a systematic problem. And we need to let you aware of it, that because of the color of your skin, you're the problem.
Tell us a little bit more about the legislation. What are the triggers that could result in a teacher or a school district getting in trouble for this kind of teaching? What has to happen? How does this work?
I do believe that if the child is feeling as though they are being discriminated or being taught that they're inferior because of the color of their skin, then that can be brought home. Parents can be discussed. They can have a meeting, and if it's found out to be true, if it's in some of the literature or something to that effect, they can civilly sue.
So if a child goes home and says, "Dad and Mom, I'm being told I'm a victim," or "Dad and Mom, I'm being told that I'm an oppressor,"
based on the color of my skin,
based on the color of my skin,
or my sexual orientation, or my religion, or anything of that nature, then the institution or even the teacher themselves, if they're acting on their own, they can be held liable for that. And I think this Dan Richardson, he's going to be one of the first persons to potentially file a lawsuit because it's making certain children feel inferior to others based upon where they came from.
Is there any wording on indoctrination? Because that's really what it's being.
I don't know if that was in. We'd have to look up I didn't bring the legislation with me at this point, but this is it's a serious topic that's really, a lot of parents are alarmed, and more people find out about it and how that it is socialistic in ideology, even Marxists,
right?
Where they're starting to get some resistance. Another area where they're getting some resistance is with the mandate for masks in schools.
And that's just been reinstituted, from what I understand, here in Nashua.
And here in Nashua, I believe the Board of Ed or school board has implemented that in the school. And I know that there are a few people that are just outraged by it. And I would be too, because...
I would be. My son wouldn't be going there.
No.
I'm not going to send him there anyway, and this is just one more reason why I would never send him there.
But, one of the things is, you have these kids in class with a mask on. Are there going to be any nurses going around checking everybody's O2 levels? That was a great question by one of the people who was actually running for school board. It's not healthy.
But it's not about health. That's the thing we have to really always remember. This is not about health. It's not about protecting children. It is about politics. And I think that they're trying to inconvenience people as much as possible. I think that they're trying to say, we are in charge of you. You are not in charge of us. And that's what this is all about.
It's the Marxist
They don't
way
care
of
about
organizing.
health or... from what I understand, the studies show that the children aren't transmitters anyway.
And they are not at high risk. They're
for contracting it. Right.
Correct. And they're at a greater risk of getting in a car accident and perishing that way, rather than dying from the COVID.
Right.
It's just a fact.
So this is about politics. And I think parents have a right to be outraged about this, because they're making the schools into political theater. And it's just wrong. It
seems to me that, again, going back to Orwell and Huxley, that it is the medical field which will become the oppressors. It's through medicine, through the medical field. Well, you're a Christian, you pray to a God. That might be a mental illness. Because do you see a God? Do you hear from Him? Or are you hearing voices? Or on a host of levels, whether you're being forced to take vaccinations. I think it was Huxley that was talking about the age of 62. Well, you're no longer a viable.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thank you very much. Hey, we're gonna have you check out over here.
Yeah.
But and then some people fall for that. But I think people are falling for this
I think
this whole
people-
idea that their liberty
yeah.
can be basically imposed upon with these medical mandates.
Yeah, they're accepting it.
They are.
Too many people are accepting it. It's shocking. And I think that no one may be more surprised that this is being accepted than the ones who are voicing these opinions. And I think that they're saying, holy cow, look at this. These people are doing what we say. Let's tell them some more things. See what happens.
yeah.
See what we get away with.
You were saying something, Carl?
I was just going to say it's a hate thing. It's not how we can do better, how we can improve ourselves, how can we work together. And that's what it used to be, but now they're turning it around.
Yeah.
And it's deathly.
Yeah, I don't understand the motivation for their hate. I really don't.
No, I don't either. And you know, and I'm hearing reports about Australia. They've got a 5-kilometer lockdown, so you can't leave your house within 5 kilometers. I mean, that's tyranny.
Oh, yeah.
That's tyranny. Now we have what's going on in Afghanistan. We have these people are going to be coming over in droves. And at least 65,000 people need to come back in America. Are they going to vaccinate them all? Now, if our federal government were really concerned about the outbreaks and the upticks in this COVID, do you think they would do something about the border?
Right.
Do you think?
Doesn't that make sense?
They don't care about
They
the
don't-
outbreak.
Well, they don't
They
know.
don't care about the border.
And we're hearing reports that these people are being transported all around our country. And you're seeing in the southern states where there is an uptick and people are scratching their heads. Well, wait a minute. We had 80%, 75%, 60% vaccination. And yet now all of a sudden we've got this uptick,
Right.
even with people who have been vaccinated. What do you think that could possibly be?
And they don't even bother vaccinating the ones they transport.
Well, and that's why
don't know why
my
they can't do
question is, going back to the American Indians, ask the American Indians, do you trust the federal government? Do you trust them on any level? And what's happening at our border is another sign of sheer incompetence or complete
Well,
diabolical.
I think as we go along into this, 6 months now, 8 months into the new regime, it shows more and more how incompetent they are, no matter whether it's locally or foreign.
Just listening to our commander-in-chief speaking, it's causing me great concern because it's hard to follow his line of logic. And what he has is the willing accomplices in the liberal corporate media. They're just praising what's going on, but we have a border crisis. We have a border crisis. We have a leadership crisis in our country. And on every level, as I'm looking what's going on, we have the critical race theory, you have the mask mandates, you have the school boards, and people are at odds with each other. You can't blame all this on Trump. You can't.
I don't blame any of it on Trump. He's not in the picture.
Exactly. And we're seeing our country. It has to take a breath, step back, and we've got to start realizing, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you're for mask, we're human beings first, and love really needs to be at the otherwise we're going to lose this country.
Well, I think that's certainly a risk. But as we step back and think about the direction of the country, we have to do it on the individual level. I think people need to reaccept self-responsibility and not simply rely on a political hack in D.C. telling us what to do. And I think we've turned over too much of our own individual sovereignty, and it's going to take a little while for folks to begin taking that back. But we have to take it back. We take it back locally by having parents and students' voices really represented in the school board. We have to take it back locally with the Board of Aldermen, take it back locally with the mayor's office. You have to take it back locally, and then gradually take it back in D.C. too. But it starts with thinking for ourselves and say, wait a second, I don't need to accept what I'm being told here.
I think one of the things that I've said on one of the previous shows, and I'll say it again, I'm getting a ton of emails saying, look, Senator, I want to send my kids back to school without a mask. And it could be that, or it could be a voting issue, which is a local issue as well, whether it's the machines or hand counts. Whatever topic that they're bringing, they want the state to come in and say, this is the way it's got to be. And I'm telling you right now, and I'm looking at the camera right now, I'm looking at you folks, it's your responsibility. You have to act locally, whether
Get
it's your
involved.
school, get involved with your alderman race, your selectman race, your city councilors race, your school board race. You can't walk around saying, I'm not going to be involved. Politics isn't my thing. Well, here you have right now a country that is dissolving before your very eyes because people are walking around high and mighty, self-righteous. Oh, I'm not a politician and that guy's a crook or this guy or this girl's no good, blah, 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 and yet you don't get involved. Don't tell me on the state level that I need to usurp our authority in your local business. You have local school board elections. This is a school board issue. Nashua decides to have school masks at school. Hollis says no. It's your decision. You don't like it, get involved. You don't want your property taxes going up, get involved. That's your local issue. That's not the state. That's your local issue. Get involved. Stop crying and get your butt out of the house and get engaged in your local politics. This really is your responsibility. I'm your servant as a public senator, but still, these are local issues, and you do not want us taking control of that. It's equivalent of me saying, let the federal government take care of our state. It doesn't work that way. You have to be engaged locally. And these conversations are here for you so that you can be informed. And I'm just bouncing off what I'm hearing from
I
other
want to
people.
add one thing to that, though. We have the mayor pushing to take over the police commission.
I know.
And I think that is for the purpose of intimidation. And the police have, I think, at the behest of City Hall and at the behest of the former school director, gone to people's homes long after some supposed infraction that was never an infraction and arrested people and carted them out. That's wrong. And I think
That's intimidation.
That's intimidation. So I think where the state can help is to make sure that intimidation is not allowed. And folks at home, too, need to understand that with regard to that police commission authority, don't transfer that power from the governor to this mayor or to any mayor. Don't do it. There's a balance of power there that I think is important to maintain. But maybe the state can provide guidance, not telling you what to do, but can provide guidance to assure people that the local police will not be co-opted into pursuing political ends.
And I
folks.
think that's one thing that Nashua doesn't need is a police department that has been politicized. And I think that's the direction we're heading. It's funny, we voted for mask mandates in our school boards, which I oppose. Yet I have 2 reports where the mayor has gone into homes without his mask on.
Right.
One home where all residents of the home were not vaccinated according to their own. To me, Senator, yeah, we're not vaccinated. We don't want to be vaccinated, and he came in because one of our people are employed by the city. That's intimidation.
Yeah, it is intimidation, and we don't want that.
I think that people ought to mix the types of politicians. Don't let it all be 100% one side.
One party, yeah.
One party.
Yeah, and everybody says, well, it's not. There's no party here in Nashua, but what?
There is. Everybody knows.
The truth is, yeah. And let's be honest. Let's be frank.
Yeah.
And we know it's one party, and it's definitely a socialist party.
Yeah.
We got a lady running around with Bernie Sanders' bumper sticker, and he's a socialist, and she's an alderman and state rep. I mean, come on, how do you hide that?
Well, state reps and aldermen are the same people sometimes.
Well, that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Maybe a mayor and a senator should be the same, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. Anyway, I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about these topics. We didn't get into a whole lot of detail, but I know it's a concern of a lot of folks right now. Critical race theory, the mask mandates, the unity of our communities. People need to get involved in our local politics because without it, you have tyranny on not just knocking anywhere, they're pounding on the door.
And we're walking into it too willingly.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for watching Speaking with the Senator. And again, we're talking in generalities a little bit today, but we want to reach out to you. And if you have a topic that you'd like to come on the show and talk about, you're very welcome to come on. Until next week, thanks for watching.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.